Good morning. Don't rain on my parade. The much needed rain came down in the metro all day and night, causing a mess for drivers and raining out holiday traditions.
But it's not just rain. We are also talking about snow this morning, hitting parts of the state just in time as the winter ski season starts. And the question this morning, though, is it over just yet? We'll find out in a minute. But first, a very good morning to you. Welcome to KRQE News 13 this morning. I'm Matt Morrow.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Krista Gutierrez. Thank you so much for joining us on this Friday, December 5th. Again, we have a lot of news we're covering this morning, but we want to check on that forecast.
Yeah, meteorologist Cassandra Crimmy is here. So, Cassandra, any rain, any snow out there right now?
You know, as of right now, no. We're looking at drying skies and clearing conditions. We'll even have the clouds moving out of the area today. But what we saw yesterday, rainfall-wise, 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch in a lot of locations. As we get you up into the northern mountains, we had snow reports of anywhere from 2 to 7 inches of snowfall, which is great news for those ski resorts. But here's a look at what we can expect today. It's going to be a beautiful one. We're going to take the gray skies, the rainy skies away and replace it with mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies. Temperatures pretty mild, 54 degrees at noon, 55 degrees around 5 o'clock with daytime highs again anywhere from 5 to 10 degrees above average. Some spots again in the mid and upper 60s. We'll talk about your Friday and your weekend forecast coming up.
As we've been talking about all morning long, the snow definitely made its way back to New Mexico. Here's a look at what things look like yesterday up at Ski Santa Fe. A good amount of powder here just in time for its opening weekend. Meanwhile, Taos Ski Valley had the chairlifts up and running. They were testing them out as snow fell there. Taos had a soft opening yesterday with daily hours starting next week. Crystal?
And this morning, some Albuquerque businesses are tallying up their soggy profits after a rainy Nob Hill shop and stroll last night. It was clear there were fewer people out early in the night for the annual event that shuts down Central from Girard to San Mateo to traffic, all to encourage shopping. The good news is, as the rain died down later in the evening, more people did start showing up. Central reopened around midnight last night. Today, Old Town will have its shop and stroll event and the lighting of the Plaza Christmas tree. The bad weather is being blamed for the cancellation of the River of Lights last night. If you had tickets, they will be honored for any other night. The event is still on for tonight.
All right, some other news this morning at 6:02. The mystery man spotted earlier this week in a neighborhood in southeast Albuquerque. Maybe this guy on some surveillance video carrying what looked like several weapons is in police custody this morning. The 911 calls started pouring in about 3 Monday afternoon, all of them describing a man in black carrying guns near Eubank and Innovation. Police swarmed the area, locking down Manzano Mesa Elementary School.
Get on the bus and get out of the area.
Go, go, go! 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 Hold on a second. Seriously, there's a guy with a gun right down the street. Get him on the bus.
Get him on the bus and get out of the area.
That's scary 911 calls there. And then workers in businesses, including MCOR, where a deadly shooting happened back in 2010, took cover in fear. Yesterday, APD told us it knew of a man in the neighborhood who was known to go out in public with a gun. He is the man who is now in custody on an unrelated matter. Police think the rifle 911 callers may have spotted may have been a pellet gun. Callers reported hearing gunshots too, but police are not sure if the man ever shot at anything. They are not releasing his name just yet and are still deciding if he'll face any charges for this.
Time now 6:03. While you were sleeping, protesters once again took the streets around the country, angry over a grand jury's decision not to indict a white officer in the choke-holding death of a black man. In New York, those fed up with the justice system swarmed police cars and clashed with officers. Throughout the street, protesters carried symbolic black caskets across the Brooklyn Bridge, stopping traffic there. Eric Garner died after this encounter with the NYPD officer. Medical officials ruled the death a homicide, but the criminal case against the officers seen here is now closed. People around the world heard the protesters' cries. It's the top story in Hong Kong. Broadcasters highlighting what they call an excessive use of force from Ecuador to Moscow. The story may top headlines in our next half hour. How these protests are leading to real conversations over social media. The world is remembering former South African President Nelson Mandela. In Pretoria, Mandela's wife was amongst the audience during a memorial. Attendees laid wreaths to pay their respects to the former civil rights leader. Mandela died last year. He was 95.
6:04 now, back in New Mexico. A 70-year-old woman is banned from playing bingo at a club, and she is fighting back. Evangeline Shellen here says she's been playing bingo at the Fraternal Order of Eagles Club since 1985. Back in 2013, she says a supervisor banned her, saying people wrote complaints about her driving in the parking lot. Ms. Shellen denies that. Since then, she has written letters and even taken the fight to the state's Attorney General's office, but it says there's nothing it can do about this.
I don't do nothing wrong. I don't have a criminal record. I just went and played bingo in my... I was hurt, of course. You know, I was hurt, and I'm still hurt because I don't think it's right.
The supervisor who kicked her out no longer works at the club, but we reached out to the Eagles, but it wouldn't talk, saying this is a private matter. Well, some good news for the job market here in Albuquerque. Dozens of new jobs are headed this way. Mexico Food Distributors near the Sunport is planning to expand and double its operations. And United Poly Systems, which makes polyethylene pipes, is coming to New Mexico from Missouri. In October, the Bernalillo County Commission approved $9 million in bonds for this. The company is taking over the old Schott Solar building at Mesa del Sol next year.
One local business is making it their mission to help returning veterans make their mark in the workforce by encouraging them to build their own business. That's why the organization West built this suite located near Broadway in Lomas, where veterans can start and grow their own businesses. It's the first in the metro to primarily serve veterans. 15 cubicle workstations are available, and each includes a computer desktop with internet access.
Well, it is that time of year when a lot of kids and parents get in the old family truckster to start searching for the perfect Christmas tree. You know this, it can be expensive. So we checked around, and prices vary depending on where you look. We looked at 6 places here in Albuquerque and found prices for a 7 to 8 foot noble fir range from $45 at Costco to $95 at a local shop. A 6 to 7 foot Douglas fir is as cheap as $28 at the Home Depot, but reaches $65 at the local lot. With the big box stores now crowding the field, the days of corner Christmas tree lots all around town are becoming more like a ghost of Christmas past.
And the trees that come in from out of state, they've been here cut for who knows how long. By the time they get here to New Mexico, they're pretty much done.
Done as in dried out. Most trees are shipped down from Oregon, Washington, and Michigan. According to the American Christmas Tree Association, southwestern states such as Arizona, New Mexico, and Colorado rank at the bottom for Christmas tree farming. All right, breaking overnight, take a look at this. More protests erupting all across the country, causing bridges and streets to be shut down. People are still enraged about another officer not being indicted as he was accused of using excessive force and killing a man. On Wednesday, a grand jury in New York decided not to indict NYPD officer Daniel Pantaleo, who choked Eric Garner to death. This is what it looked like on New York City's West Side Highway last night. A mob of people stopping traffic. Now, earlier it got violent in Times Square. Protesters tried to smash the barricades and got arrested. Then in Boston, thousands of protesters had took over during the city's Christmas tree lighting ceremony.
Our people are getting murdered every day, and I'm just sick and tired of it.
We need to get the message across to people, even those people that don't think that this directly affects them.
New York City's police commissioner says it'll retrain thousands of its officers of using less force. Now, as for Officer Pantaleo, he's now facing a federal civil rights investigation. On top of that, Pantaleo has already faced 2 lawsuits about racial misconduct. Crystal?
The recent protest over Garner's death come just weeks after protests erupted across the nation after the officer in the Michael Brown case was not indicted. In both cases, the men who died were black, the officers white. The fallout is leading to a tough conversation on race relations across America. For example, some who are not protesting in the streets are taking to Twitter using the hashtag #CrimingWhileWhite to talk about race. It's people who are white talking about their stories with police where they get in trouble, then get off. They say there is racial inequality in the justice system. The hashtag is still popular on Twitter this morning, along with hashtag Eric Garner and I Can't Breathe.
Well, today, a former APD sergeant could learn his punishment for a deadly crash that killed a young woman in Albuquerque. Back in September, Adam Casals was found not guilty of vehicular homicide for speeding while he was off duty and getting into a crash, killing Ashley Browder and seriously hurting her sister Lindsay. The jury found Casals, though, guilty of a much lesser charge, careless driving. That's a misdemeanor. Because of that, he could spend up to 90 days in jail. We'll let you know what happens.
The Albuquerque Police Department is in the midst of overhauling the department. Just recently, a local NAACP leader was hired. The city announced this week NAACP Albuquerque President Harold Bailey will be its consultant. Bailey says he will help with community engagement. critics have complained they were not involved in negotiations over the U.S. Justice Department agreement to reform the Albuquerque Police Department. And there is a new push to get a law on the books in New Mexico that would force dangerous mentally ill people to get treatment.
Yeah, the reason for this is that New Mexico is one of just a few states, 5 I believe, that does not have one. State Senator Mary Kay Papin is behind the plan. It's considered New Mexico's version of Kendra's Law. It's named after a woman in New York who was pushed in front of an oncoming subway train by a man battling schizophrenia. It would allow families, caseworkers, and mental health professionals to file petitions forcing dangerous mentally ill patients into a court-ordered treatment plan.
Based upon results achieved elsewhere, it should lessen homelessness and lower rates of suicide while reducing hospitalization, arrests, and incarceration.
Well, a judge would still have to approve these on a case-by-case basis, and if the patients don't follow them, they could be hospitalized. Yesterday, the Legislative Committee endorsed the bill, and State Senator Papin plans to introduce it to the full roundhouse in January. Well, a woman from here in New Mexico has a pretty good reason to smile this morning because First Lady Michelle Obama is talking about her and a high school here.
And I'm thinking today of a school called La Cueva High School in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Mrs. Obama is at an education summit about giving all students an opportunity to go to college, and she told Roberta Gutierrez's story. When Roberta graduated from La Cueva, she couldn't afford to just apply to college. That's when school counselors held fundraisers for her and for others. They've done it for years, all so that students could take the PSAT.
And as for Roberta, she is now in her junior year on a full scholarship at the University of New Mexico, and she's planning to get her PhD in psychology. So the counselors,
Good for her. Roberta tells us the White House called her on Monday and asked if it could share her inspirational story. And another inspirational story this morning. A boy from Albuquerque is turning his passion for hiking into a way to help others. In fact, this summer, he's going all the way to Japan to climb the tallest mountain there.
And with each step up the 12,000-foot mountain, he will be raising money for other kids. News 13's Catherine Rizzone is in the Newsbox with his very inspiring story. Good morning, Catherine.
Good morning, Crystal. Matt, the boy with a passion for hiking wanted to try something new and different, but that wasn't enough for this kid. He plans to give back at the same time.
A challenge most grown men wouldn't take on is now the mission of a 10-year-old Albuquerque boy.
I think it's gonna be fun and a good experience.
There's something about those craggly peaks that captivates Landon Martinez.
When I was 6, I asked my dad if we could hike the mountain, then he started looking for good trails to hike.
Landon and his dad Vince chose La Luz Trail for their first hike, and it's been the boy's favorite ever since.
We just loved the trail, so we keep hiking it.
But after a while, the 10,679-foot peak wasn't enough. One day, treading down that same La Luz Trail, Landon set his sights on something much bigger.
My dad said that we should hike Mount Fuji, and then I said, how could we help other kids? And he said, hey, why don't we just do the Make-A-Wish Foundation and raise money for that? And I said, okay.
One of his dreams come true, as well as other kids' dreams come true.
With that, the two began to plan the trip of a lifetime. Support started pouring in from friends, family, and of course, the Make-A-Wish Foundation. The local chapter says they have around 60 groups that hold fundraisers for them every year, but say far fewer children contact them ready to raise funds. Then again, Landon's not your typical 10-year-old.
It makes me feel really good that they have a wish for something that they always wanted to do, and then their family gets to makes that memory with them.
What I like most about him is his big heart and the way he cares for others.
The pair says they hope to raise at least $5,000, but Landon's not putting any parameters around his generosity.
One family be able to go on a Make-A-Wish trip, and as much as possible.
Vince and Landon are preparing for their expedition by doing lots of research and lots of training. Landon says he hopes they can hit some peaks in Colorado and Utah before the big one in Japan. Back to you, Crystal.
All right, thanks for that story, Catherine. All of the money goes straight to Make-A-Wish America. Vince is footing all of the travel and lodging expenses himself. The GoFundMe website just went up earlier this week For more information on that, go to our website, krqe.com, then click under KRQE links. It'll be on later today.
All right, great family, great young man there. This is pretty good, too. The Albuquerque Police Officers Association is hoping to make local kids smile this holiday season. They're launching a Santa Patrol toy drive. The union is asking folks to donate toys from now until Christmas Eve. Officers will hand them out to needy kids they meet on the job. They see that so often. You can drop off toys at any of the city's substations from Monday through Friday between 8 and 5. And do not forget, we have the U.S. Marines here. They're going to be raising money. We're going to help them with Toys for Tots coming up from 7 to 9 on KRQE this morning. And this just in, a little good news on the job front. The U.S. created 321,000 jobs last month. That's the most in 3 years. The unemployment rate stayed the same, 5.8%.
But that is good news. We do need more jobs.
Yeah.